Shalom, and welcome to Tov, the Jewish news channel. My name is Ruchi Avital, and I have here with me today a guest in the studio, Rabbi Jonathan Feldman. Jonathan Feldman is involved in Aliyah of young people to Israel. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
So there is a very strong Aliyah of young single people coming to Israel. Many of them settle in Tel Aviv. And they're coming to a new country, they're left most of their friends, their jobs, new language, new culture. And so we started Tribe Tel Aviv to build community, to give them a setting in which to connect to Israel, to learn more about the country, about what's going on here, about their Jewish background, Jewish heritage, because many of them who come don't have a lot of Jewish background. They do birthright, they do Masa, they fall in love with Israel, and they throw their lot in with Israel and the Jewish people and the homeland. And it's an amazing thing.
That's really interesting because Tribe Tel Aviv is a fantastic name. Normally we associate most of the people who've come on Aliyah from North America, what we call, from England, France, and so on, are mostly more observant Jews, for whom Israel has always been part of their lives. And you're telling me that these are, for the most part, not necessarily observant people who came on birthright or Masa and had their Jewish identity kind of reignited or ignited, maybe for the first time?
So, according to Nefesh B'Nefesh, who keeps very close figures on this, over half of the young single people did not have a day school Jewish background who come, a strong Jewish background. Some might have come from Zionist homes. Mm-hmm. And what we also see is a significant percentage whose parents are Israeli.
Oh.
And so they might have relatives here. They might have some comfort with the language because it was spoken in the home. And obviously a sense of identification. I'd say that's about 30% of these young people amongst the non-Dati community. And
have Israeli parents.
Yes, yeah.
Or at least one Israeli parent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
And the others, because we're reading so much about how the younger generation of Jews are becoming increasingly disaffected with Israel, identifying less with Israel. In fact, there was even a poll that came out a couple weeks ago saying, this wasn't among Jewish young people, but 70% or something, huge number, said that they thought Israel should cease to exist, which is shocking. But among Jews, we are seeing less identification in the younger generation?
So what I'm hearing is that on the college campuses where there's obviously a lot of anti-Semitism, anti-Israel, there are some who get propelled to be more assertive of their Jewish identity and want to connect more. This is happening to me because I'm Jewish. Why am I Jewish? Why does it matter? And they step up and they get very involved.
As it says in Exodus, the more they afflicted them, the stronger they got.
That's it. However, that's a minority.
Right.
And what I'm also hearing is that on campuses, there's lower attendance at Hillel, Chabad, because think about it, if you're being ostracized, if you're too Jewish, too pro-Israeli, most kids want to fit in. They want to be part of campus life. So you put your head down and you keep it low key. And unfortunately, I think the majority, this is what's happening, is the Jewish kids can't really be too open about even their Jewishness, let alone their
but if your name is Cohen or something like that, you're wearing your Jewishness on your sleeve.
Right, but if you're seen going to the Hillel at a pro-Israel demonstration, then you might be the target of more direct aggression.
So what you're saying is that...
or ostracism at least.
Right, but you're saying that what is basically anti-Zionism or anti-Israel sentiments on campus is really anti-Semitic. Sentiments.
Well, we're seeing this now, that, every group is protected except Jews. Why is that, right? So this...
we don't fit into the woke, intersectional, oppressed
and
categories.
And therefore, we're fair game. The Asians, too, to some extent, also have been kind of like,
too successful.
Exactly. So therefore, all of a sudden, the criterion of protecting those who might be bullied, those who might be discriminated against, all of a sudden falls away.
So let's try to think. Let's look at those young people who found themselves asking questions, asking themselves who they are in wake of this unbelievable onslaught we saw of anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism after October 7th. Even before Israel had a chance to defend itself, Israel was being condemned. And there were a fair number of Jews in America, in other places, that this was a real wake-up call for them.
So American Jewry is being shaken up. You know, we had a great run of Jewish life in America where certainly in the large urban centers you felt accepted. There are no barriers, at least for, you know, since the 1970s. Mm-hmm. My father in the 50s could not get a job in advertising because he was Jewish. So we don't even realize it is relatively...
Not openly Jewish, not externally Jewish, not Hasidic or something like that.
His name was Abraham, you know. So,
Feldman.
So we don't realize that it is recent, but
well, Lincoln's name was Abraham, but it wasn't Feldman.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So it's been a great run for the last 50, 60 years. But the question is, what will happen after the war when things calm down? Will it go back to the way it was? And from what I'm hearing from people there, most people think it will not. Because, especially amongst the young people, general population, you have this anti-Israel sentiment, you have all these different types of manifestations of anti-Semitism coming out. So American Jews are being shook up. I know some who now want to send their kids to a Jewish day school because they don't want their kids to be subject to ostracism in a mixed identity school. Yeah.
Do you foresee a rise, a surge in Aliyah from American Jews?
So this is the question. Clearly, we've been told by Nefesh B'Nefesh again that there's a doubling or a tripling of the number of applications. If you look at the numbers, I mean, that's amazing. It's great. First of all, not necessarily all those will come. I think there will be a rise. It'll be a significant rise. But if you look at the, 6,000 Olim from North America per year, between 4,000 and 6,000, and the 7-8 million in North America, it's still a drop in the bucket. Right. So I don't foresee right now significant, large numbers of waves. We'll have to see how things unfold.
So I'd like to ask you about your organization, Tribe Tel Aviv. What is it exactly that your organization does with these young people after they come to Israel?
So we build community, we run events, we have speakers coming talking about all different aspects of Israel, social initiatives, high tech, the political situation. We are nonpartisan. We have people from the left who come and speak, people from the right who come and speak. It's the marketplace of ideas. I have my own personal views, but we're there to give them really an exposure to Tel Aviv, to Israel, to Zionism, and then also to the foundation of Zionism, which is Torah, Judaism, their Jewish heritage. So, which is part of coming to Israel and living here, is we're here because we're Jews. This is a Jewish homeland. We're here to build a Jewish state. What does that mean? What does it mean to build a Jewish state? And the first place to look is Jewish sources. So, so all of that is our mission, which we try and share. Jewish holidays, creating community. This is our.
Any matchmaking?
Some meet and get engaged. Sure, of course. Yeah.
Have to ask.
Yeah.
So yes. That would be a great success. I would consider that a great success. If you get couples coming out of that, their chances of remaining are probably stronger if they make a family here.
But it is challenging, especially for single people during COVID,
right?
And then now with the war, a number went back temporarily. Their families were nervous, but most of them have now started to come back here.
What age group are we talking about?
20s and 30s.
20s and 30s, mostly. Professionals, mostly.
Yeah. And then there's also the job challenge, finding a job, you don't have the language yet. And they do, but for instance, in high tech, a lot of the jobs are American hours, right? They're selling,
Right.
they're doing sales abroad of high tech products.
Well, that's not high tech per se. That's sales, right?
Yeah, sales or and there's been a contraction in the high tech sector, but
Right.
it really just reinforces the fact that, and our outlook, our family, we came 5 years ago, and really one has to want to love Israel and want to be here, and that's the first priority. And you park your expectations back at home, and you come and you say, I'm going to make it work. And there has to be a dedication to it, and a commitment to it, and a love of the land. And if one starts with that, and with a little help from above, God willing, you find your path. And I think those are the main elements, that it has to be really kind of a jump into a new life.
What does B'Nefesh have to say about the statistics of success? What percentage remain of this age demographic?
So anecdotally, I thought I saw, a significant number after 3-5 years who maybe go back. From what I've spoken with them, I've been told it's probably somewhere between 20 to 30%, which is really not that high. Remember, it's a very mobile population. And I used to do similar work in New York with young professionals, and they're moving around all the time.
Right.
So I think it is rather successful. Yeah.
So maybe those families that are now registering their children in day schools, their kids will learn Hebrew at a younger age, and they'll be better equipped when they come here. As far as the language barrier is concerned, at least.
One friend particularly came here for a week to volunteer, and after the week filled out an application with Nefesh B'Nefesh. Will he come now? I don't know, we'll see, but he's also switching his child wants to switch his child to a Jewish day school. So we're seeing this, yeah.
This is a very important trend, although I'm sure there are the opposite trend, as you mentioned, people who would want to hide their Judaism. I've actually heard it referred to as crypto-Judaism in the United States, that some people are, or at least hiding their views, not saying who they're going to vote for in the election or what they really think about Israel.
In the beginning of the emancipation in the 1800s in Germany, right, there was an opening of the ghetto walls. Jews came out in Western Europe, from France, Germany, entered into society, started to assimilate, went to the universities, professions, and 50 years later, we know about the Dreyfus trial, but there was a larger phenomenon of kind of a swing back against Jews and of anti-Semitism. And at that time, there was actually a rise in the number of conversions, because they felt like, well, we've done everything. We're now Europeans. And
they still don't accept us.
Still don't accept us. And you had both. You had Theodor Herzl, who had this Jewish awakening and realized we have to assert our Jewishness and then create our own country.
He actually swung he was in the opposite direction for a short point in his life, and then the story goes that after the Dreyfus trial, when he saw the mobs yelling death to the Jews, one Jew, right? But death to the Jews, he realized that there was no future for Jews in Europe anymore.
And he realized for himself he had a mission now.
Yes.
So it's happened before, unfortunately. And there are a certain amount who will rise to the occasion and assert their Jewishness and see where it's going. And there are a certain number who will buckle down and hope to ride it out. During the Shoah, my grandfather didn't want to leave Austria because, we don't understand how could that be? Because it was bad, then it was good, then it was bad. And during the bad moments, you hope to ride it out. And one can kind of understand that. Well, from our perspective here, well, why aren't they all coming? How could they? What are they thinking? But there have been difficult moments before.
If if the current events teach us anything, that's a little bit of humility, and for us to be a little bit less judgmental of our parents and grandparents in the Holocaust.
Certainly, and today as well. I don't judge people who, they love Israel, but they have their lives, they have their families. It's a very personal decision to make Aliyah. And everyone has many different competing values and priorities in their lives. And it's, as I said before, it's a big commitment. You have to make it for the right reason, not to flee anti-Semitism, not out of fear, because as we said before, if you don't love it, if you're not committed to it, if you don't believe in it, and this is the future of Jewish destiny, and we're building for the future here, and I want my children, my grandchildren to be part of this, if one doesn't have that commitment, then people can be very unhappy. So it has to be for the right reasons, it has to be a personal decision, and I'm not judgmental of people either way. And we'll see how things unfold.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Feldman.
Thank you.
And let's hope we have as many Jews as possible who want to join us in the fantastic experience of living this miracle, living in the state of Israel at this time.
But what I should say, just to end, is that we've seen an incredible upswing of people, Jews abroad in the diaspora, being supportive of Israel. Incredible amount of tzedakah to support the war efforts.
Right. They raised over $1 billion in a couple of weeks.
Incredible advocacy from all ends, volunteering. Every time I go back and forth, I bring duffel bags with things for the displaced people, tactical uniforms. So that we have seen is that world Jewry is stepping up to the plate. They feel so much a part of what's going on here, and the unity there, the unity here, it's an amazing thing. It shouldn't take crises like this, but we see an unbelievable strength, unbelievable depth of caring for our fellow Jews and for Israel throughout the world. And that's really the foundation of everything. So we're going in the right direction as a people.
Amen. Thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to like us on all our various channels. Shalom.